which one are you more interested in seeing as a film? You actually need to get professional help for your pitch deck. This is a question that I often get, that people are wondering, does it really matter to get this kind of support? You know, I can put this thing together, so, you know, what's the big deal? Well, it does make a big difference. And here is a perfect example. This is what was sent to me by a client for their film. And the whole design layout is what they sent me of what their show is. And as you can see, when you look at it, one, the title page isn't very interesting to look at. It doesn't grab your attention or really tell you much about the show other than what the title is. It also isn't very visually engaging, so it's going to be something that gets passed over very easily because it's not something that is saying, hey, I have an interesting story here that you're going to want to hear. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as we start to look through the pages in the deck, you can see that it doesn't really tell me what the show's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. It's very hard to grab the information out of the deck to really understand what is here, who the characters are, what the main conflict of the story is, which then makes it very difficult for a producer or an executive to say, yeah, we should put our money into this, or yeah, we want to work with this filmmaker, or yeah, I want to champion this film. Because when it's difficult to read and understand it, immediately people, due to the science in our brains, the way we work as humans, we immediately go, this is too complicated. I don't understand what's here. I'm confused. I'm leaving. Does this have all the information? Yes, this pitch deck has all the information that you could use and need and want. However, it does not tell the story of the film in a way that is concise, easy to digest, and engaging. So this client hired me to then help them elevate their pitch deck. And this is where the transformation comes into play when you hire a professional like myself, or there are plenty of other wonderful pitch deck creators out there that you can hire. When you work with someone like me, your pitch goes from looking like this to something more like this. Now, as you can see, just in the title page alone, there's one of the things that I did was I played with color. And the way that we experience conflict visually is through contrast. So I chose intentionally contrasting colors to really kind of help grab our attention of this magenta pink in the text, juxtapose the kind of jungle green of the jungle, right? This is all set in a jungle. So I really wanted to pull those color palettes in to the whole story, and it's a bachelorette party on a destination, and you know, hot pink is also very much associated with bachelorette parties. So that was how this kind of title came to be. Again, this is still actually a working document. We haven't fully finessed it, but I wanted to show the value that comes. Let's just start with looking at the comparison between, you know, this title page and this title page. Which one are you going to actually want to read about? Which one are you going to actually want to go in and look at the rest of the document? It's gonna be this one. It's more interesting. There's something going on. There's gonna be some sort of question, and that's what's gonna draw your attention. I do think we can add a little more of the suspense and the action sequence elements to this front page to give it a little more of a sense of where the story is going. And then as you see, when you start looking through the deck, right, we start by creating interesting ways of introducing the characters and the story, really look at kind of more big glossy images of how this world might come into existence on camera. One of the things that's really important about a pitch deck, especially in today's market, is that it's the moment of beginning the translation of taking your script and your creative ideas and translating them into this cinematic experience. And so by taking your pitch deck and turning it into something that is interesting and unique, you're ultimately giving people a sense of where you're gonna go cinematically and what it is that you're gonna do with the funds that you're looking to raise. So as we kind of continue to move through, you can see there's a story being told, right? There's emotional beats that are happening. I personally like to play with quick, quippy kind of page turning. This one, it's Peruvian bachelorette party plus Leah's ayahuasca trip equals trouble. We get a sense that these are kind of the main things that happen. There's a bachelorette party, somebody gets super high, and that leads into a dangerous situation. And the whole story is about this, I've already set up in the beginning that in the title page, what kind of story it is, right? It's a sister comedy about two sisters who don't get along. We set it up with this in it. Meet Jenny, she loves a perfect photo. Meet her sister Leah, she could care less. That sets up this dynamic that immediately we go, I get it. These are the main two people, this is the story, and now we can move on. As you can see, everything's about kind of trying to really create these bigger picture senses of where the story's going so that we can then get people to be interested and engaged. And you can see that everything in this is pretty skimmable. One of the things that I think we still get to work on is highlighting some of the main points in the larger text moments. We haven't gotten there yet because, again, people skim. That's how we read and see and experience the world that we live in through text these days. People will only read your text when they are invested. The skimmable content allows them to understand what's here in order to choose into and enroll in reading more about your story, getting a conversation going with you, getting excited about it. And so the difference between these two decks, when you hold them up in entirety together, which one are you more interested in seeing as a film? Let's say we're sending this out to talent and you're in the industry, maybe you do camera work, or I'm a writer of the script and I'm looking for a director to direct my idea, or I'm looking for a producer to champion the idea, right? Or you're a big talent in the industry, and so I'm looking at you to say, hey, I really want you to want to be on my show. Check out my pitch deck. Maybe you'll then want to read my script, right? Here's my idea. Out of these two, which one are you more likely going to want to work on? Again, it's the same script, it's the same story, the same filmmakers. The only thing that has changed is the way the information is presented. And so you can see that, for me, this one is more interesting. If I was given the choice between which of these two projects would you want to do, I'm gonna choose this one. And not because I worked on the deck, but because it's more interesting. There's something here to look at. There's something here to get excited about, right? I'm getting a sense of the environment the story takes place in, right? There's a lot of opportunity in this one to see the backdrop of this amazing experience of these two characters getting lost in this jungle and finding a new relationship to one another and building their sisterly bonds. I get that. I can see that happening. I can see what it's going to look like. I have a understanding of that. Even the visual boards for the visual style tells me a story. There's, kind of how it all turns out to be, this journey that we experience, right? That ends in this happy, beautiful tropical wedding or jungle wedding, which is amazing. That is what makes getting professional help for your pitch deck so important. You can just see the difference. And this is why in this world that we are now in, even if you're sitting here right now and you're going, Sarah, I hear this is a great example, but that's not my experience of getting funded. I understand. There are still pitches that occur that get funded or get moved on to the next round with just a verbal pitch because it's based on relationships. And that's a big part of our job. When we don't know somebody, we need to show that we know what we're doing. This is why doing a really well-crafted pitch deck matters so much. The other thing is when you've done your pitch deck correctly, you're able to use your pitch deck as a means of finding the right collaborators because they'll get excited about the creative vision you've put into the deck. You'll also have a better sense of the story you want to tell and who the characters are, what the world looks like. So you're able to then guide the conversation for actually making the film from a much more grounded and thoughtful place. Because the work we do for our pitch decks should immediately translate into a lookbook, which is a bigger, larger scope of what the overall vision of a film is. And then that translates immediately into being able to go out and do our work as filmmakers in the field during production to create something that is interesting, unique, and exciting. And when we are working on tight budgets and short prep times, the more that we are prepared as filmmakers, as the leader of the creative vision, the better we are able to delegate that creative vision to our team so that they can run with it. And when we have done the work in our pitch decks and created lookbooks and really sat and thought about our creative vision early on, before we go for funding, it means that we're able to jump into the pre-pro process in a place that's miles ahead of where the average filmmaker starts from. Because average-minded filmmakers think that film design doesn't happen until you get your designers hired. However, really skillful, knowledgeable filmmakers understand that great filmmaking starts with them, and that being prepared with their creative vision from the beginning is what will ultimately serve them in creating a film that stands out. Because when you are spending your first week or two of pre-production figuring out what the vision is, you've waited until the last minute to decide these creative choices that can ultimately affect the bottom line of your budget. So by thinking about your pitch decks as a tool to not only get you funded and help you stand out, but also as a tool for helping you save money down the road when you're in production and investing in your creative vision for your project, it's a no-brainer that getting professional help is extremely important. Because when you're working with a really good pitch deck creator, or someone like myself who is also an in-the-field designer, right? I'm a world builder, that's what I do. And so when you work with someone like me, I'm gonna ask you all the questions about the story, just like I would if you and I were actually sitting and working on this project and getting ready to go into production. Why do these characters matter? What is it that you want people to understand about them? Why this story at this time for this audience? What is the main takeaway that we want people to think of, look at, experience when they go through this pitch deck? Just like, what do you want people to walk away knowing, seeing, feeling, and understanding about your film or your TV show when it's done? All of that plays into what goes into our pitch deck. And that is why hiring a pro is so important in this early process. Look, most filmmakers will go out and they'll spend money to get a coach to help them workshop their script to make a better script. They'll pay for people to help them understand different cameras and camera lenses and what that does as a storytelling tool. And filmmakers will even pay to take directing actors workshops. However, the thing that everyone's been missing is the creative coaching in terms of how do you figure out your creative vision for a project? How do you take this idea that's in your mind's eye and turn it into something that is exciting and engaging and that rallies people around your creative vision so that you are easier to say yes to? So that when you get into production, you've thought of the big questions and you have answers so that you can answer quickly and efficiently, so that you're not spending money on these last minute decisions that cost exponentially more than if you had made this decision 2 months in advance. That's the benefit of hiring a pro like myself that knows storytelling and knows how to take your ideas and translate them into a creative visual medium. So that's what I've got for you today. If you want to learn how to make your pitch deck stand out, check out my free workshop, What Makes a Pitch Deck Stand Out. You can just go to workshops.sarahkogan.com/standout pitch deck to get a copy of the free recording. And I look forward to sharing it with you. Comment below if you have any questions. Let me know if there's something you'd like me to discuss. Also, tell me what your takeaway was. I am looking forward to hearing what you thought about this video. Thanks.